I'm Brian Shelley. I've been here for 7 years and I've done a variety of jobs, and now I'm at Amplifiers. And this is what I do. I'm going to test an amplifier to make sure it is good. And this is after it's been initially checked after construction to make sure it works. And now I'm going to, this is a 100 volt. This is just one of the ones. We also have a 25th, it's 120 volt. This would, 100 volt would be for Japan, and same as any other ones. Transformer, power transformer is different, and that's it. So, on the meter to DC, because we got to check the bias again. Turn the amp on. Hook up all appropriate cables. So when we burn them in, after they've been initially play tested, they go in the rack over here, and they get burned in for about 2 hours pretty heavy, and 2 hours kind of a medium. Make sure everything's stable. Every once in a while a component will just die. It just happens. And that's our opportunity to fix it, make things right. I mean, even tubes, we do a tap test with tubes once they're in the amplifier, just to make sure everything's okay. Because what happens is sometimes they fail, and that's a failed tube. And that's a good tube, nice and mirrored on the top. So I was doing one before and it just failed. So okay, we have bias test points on the back of each amplifier. Make it really easy to change tubes. I think you usually want to stick with what it's with. You can change them. I don't know if it avoids the warranty or not, but I'm not the person. So I'm going to check both sides of this, because it is a supposed matched pair. We usually start them out at about 30 millivolts. You see right now, after the burn, it's drifted a bit. So I'm going to back it back down. It's about 30. Just check both sides. Let's come back up a little bit. 29, 31 averages out. So that's where we want to be there. Let's see. Next, I'm going to test the wattage. Now we clip on the 8 ohm out for this into our scope. Next we have a tone generator that we are going to, well, we also have a hot plate that knocks down. It becomes a load or a speaker out. We have a rinky-dink speaker out down there. So I'm going to put that to the load setting right now so it doesn't get noisy. Plug that in. Take my knobs up to where they need to be. What happens is you start to see a signal coming through, because you got signal in and coming out through here, and it reads back into here. So what we do is, you can set it and it'll come up by itself. I usually do it on, Jeff likes it on the long one, I like it on the shorty, so you get better wave signatures. And I take the volume, the first volume, up to the point where things start to get wavy. Back down a little bit so it's nice and relatively smooth. I take my other meter and plug it in the back, in the other 8 ohm jack. And we get 20.6, which got a halfway decent chart here as far as like voltages go and outputs. 20.5 will give you 52, so I'm going to call this probably 52 wattage. And every amp is different. Hardly ever do amps read exactly the same because of components and different things. I mean, these caps can be slightly off and they will change, you know, how much output you get. Tubes, everything. And check that I checked it. And that's pretty much it for that part, I should say. Okay, still hooked up. I'm gonna take the hot plate and put it on the signal setting. You can hear the hiss of the amplifier now. I'm gonna take bass and middle all the way up. Treble I'm gonna leave about 3/4. Reverb at about 1/4. And pre-volume all the way up. So, I got tools here, hammer and file. That's what we use. I wouldn't recommend this at home because it is high voltage. I tap the chassis around the tube sockets, just to make sure nothing goes crazy. Because what I was saying before about the filament spirals down, and what'll happen is sometimes it'll basically go like that and hit the side of it, and then you got a dead tube. And that's happened more than once. So I do all around every tube socket. See if we can get one to fail. That's kind of jumpy. We try to send everything out the door at the best possible condition. You know, not going to fail anytime soon, but tubes are tubes. They do have a lifespan, and sometimes they will fail just for the heck of it. And every tube does sound different. Now if I get one that's kind of popping a little bit, like the preamp tube input here, I'll tap it on the side a little bit, hold the base of it. Tried to get it to react. Sometimes they'll freak out and just go, you know, crazy. That sounds pretty good so far. You don't want to be too rough with them. If they're going to fail, they're going to fail. If they're not going to fail, you don't want to make them fail.